Bo Deely, and welcome to Something Edible.
Every family loves to have taco night. You know, it's one of those few times where people can get together with their families, sit around, talk about things, and it's one of the few meals that people actually sit around and will wait for. So, you know, if you want to keep the family at home and have everybody around for a good meal, tacos are the way to go. This isn't the way to go. This is packaged taco seasoning mix, and we're all guilty of using this. I've used it for years. But you look at the back, and you got stuff like modified food starch, maltodextrin, and at the end of the day, you're paying for sugar and salt and starch. Well, there's a better way to do it. You can roll your own mix. You can even do it ahead of time. And if you're going to take the time to get your family together, you might as well give them good tacos instead. So today I'm going to show you how to make a really killer homemade taco seasoning. And if it's all right with me, so if you want to call it your own secret blend, go right ahead, just as long as it gets everybody back to the table to eat. Let's start making tacos. All right, to make this taco seasoning, there's really nothing to it. As long as you've got everything in your spice cabinet already, you're pretty much good to go. So I'll go through these with you. You're going to need a teaspoon of ancho chili powder, and you can use plain chili powder too, but I like to grind my ancho chilies, and there's just something really nice about the flavor when you grind them yourself. After that, you're going to need a teaspoon of onion powder, and then a teaspoon of paprika. Gives everything a nice color. A teaspoon of kosher salt. You can probably use plain old table salt here too. You'll probably have to end up adjusting the seasonings later. Okay, we've got a half teaspoon of cumin. If you like that flavor, a lot of people associate cumin with tacos and chili. If you like that, go ahead and double it. So the next thing we've got here is a half teaspoon of garlic powder, and then a half teaspoon of Mexican oregano. And to really work this stuff around, I like to crumble it in my hand a little bit and really kind of pulverize it before I go ahead and add it. And if you've got plain oregano, that'll work too, but I like what Mexican oregano does for taco seasoning. And then we've got a half teaspoon of ground coriander. You want to grind your own, that's fine. If your cilantro went to seed and you've got coriander left, go right ahead. And then the last thing is a quarter teaspoon of black pepper. And that's 10 turns of my mill, and I know my mill gives me a quarter teaspoon when I do that. So that's it. That's enough taco seasoning right there to give us enough to season a full pound of ground beef or ground turkey or whatever is your thing. Heck, you could even use fresh ground pork with this too. So that's it right there. That's taco seasoning. See, that wasn't so bad. So let's take this over to the skillet and start browning some ground beef and make us some taco beef. All right, so I'm over here at my stove, and I've got this smoking hot cast iron skillet on medium to medium high heat. You know your stove better than I do, so when it starts smoking, when you throw water on there and everything starts bouncing around, you know you're ready to go. So I've got myself some really lean ground beef here, and I'm just, don't stand on ceremony, just crumble that stuff into the skillet. And once I crumble it in like this, I'm going to want to make sure that I don't touch it. So there's the beef right there. And now we're going to sprinkle in our homemade taco seasoning and just let it sit there. Don't do a thing to it, don't stir it, don't do anything. So depending on how hot your skillet gets and how hot your stove is, we're talking anywhere from, 3 to 5 minutes maybe that you're going to need to let this set to get good and brown. Just make sure you don't touch it in that time. Okay, so it's been a few minutes now, and I'm going to come in here and just start breaking this stuff up. If I look underneath, I'm going to see that I've got a nice sear on the bottom of that beef. And that's half the story right there. We've got it seasoned and we've got it seared, and it's still pink. That's okay. Don't have a cow. It's going to be all right. By the time this is done cooking, this is only the first half of it. So if you like your beef crumbly, then just go ahead and beat the bejesus out of it with this spatula. But if you like it a little bit chunkier, then don't mess around with it so much. If you do this in a non-stick skillet, using a metal spatula is probably a bad idea. But because we're using cast iron, I can get in here and I can be a little rude with it, and the cast iron doesn't care. It's what it's made for. So this is getting to the point now where it's getting nice and crumbly, which is how everybody at my house likes it. Alright, so I've broken this stuff up as much as I want to do it. It's starting to look pretty done, but we're not quite there yet. I'm going to turn my heat down to medium-low, and now I'm going to crack open a beer. We only need a half cup of this beer for our beef. And if you like something a little bit saucier, then you can sure use taco sauce or tomato sauce or whatever you like. This one's getting ahead on it. There's a quarter cup right there. I'm going to go ahead and pour me another quarter cup. There we go. And now, quarter cup for the cook. Oh, that's good. Okay. Alright, so don't worry about any puddles of grease or anything floating on top. I'm using leaner ground beef here, and it wouldn't be ground beef if you didn't have a little bit of grease floating in there. We're going to worry about that later. Right now, that's flavor, and you don't want to strain off that flavor until you're done cooking it. So this is going to sit here on a medium-low heat for another 5 to 7 minutes, and we're going to let most of that beer kind of evaporate and cook off there. This is the second stage of your cooking right here. So we're going to come back here in about 7 minutes time and see how this is doing. I'm going to cut up some red onion, going to cut up some tomato, a little bit of lettuce, and some fresh jalapeno. Just standard taco fixings. Okay, so it's been just about 7 minutes. I've killed the heat, and you can see this stuff looks pretty tame now. That's okay. Now, I'm going to pull this beef over to the side here. And you got a little bit of grease. You might have a little bit of liquid too. That's okay. This is the easy way to get the grease out of your beef. From here, you can just go ahead and have people come over to the stove and spoon it up or whatever you want to do. But you're not going to get any of the stuff you don't want over here. So we're okay. This is ready to go. We're going to go ahead and make some tacos now. Let's plate up. Alright, I got everything ready to go here to start plating up some tacos. I got my shells. I just took these out of the toaster oven. I like to keep these in the toaster oven at about 300, no hotter than that, because then they're nice and toasty and they taste good, and it just makes for a better taco. So I'm taking our taco beef that we just did, and you notice it's not, I mean, there's a little bit of grease on it, but it's not greasy, which is okay by me. And we know this is all beef, and we know where the seasoning came from too, because we made it. So load them up as much or as little as you want. I like to put the cheese right on top of the meat. Can do that. You can already see I'm going to get into some problems here where filling's concerned. So a little bit of lettuce. I'm using a mixture of green leaf and romaine here because that's what was on sale. I do some tomatoes. I like Romas. That's what I grow in my garden. A few breath mints. And instead of drowning them in sauce, I'm going to use these jalapenos. I got these at the farmer's market, and they looked really good. And so I'm going to shove a couple of those into each taco. You better know those are there, though. I wouldn't want to surprise anyone with those. That's it. We're ready to eat some tacos. All right, so I got the dishes in the sink and I got my tacos right here and I'm ready to dig in. Those are good. Jalapeno's kicking too, so I'm gonna need a beer. That's exactly what you want to be serving people on taco night. Ingredients are fresh. The seasonings are up front. They're not spicy, but they're there. You can tell it's taco beef. You know, and you can use this on grilled chicken too. It's whatever you like. If the whole thing about doing spices, you know, that many spices at once, getting out your whole spice cabinet at one go is kind of, you know, off-putting to you, and that's why you go with a packet, might I suggest doing a pre-mix. I've got the instructions right here for my wife so she can make tacos too. Basically, you make as much of this ahead as you want. I don't even know. I made 8 times the amount that I normally make. And then you give this a shake. And then I've got the instructions right up here. You add 2 tablespoons of the pre-mixed stuff per pound of beef. So you know, this recipe is totally scalable, and you can make as little or as much as you want ahead of time, and it'll keep as long as spices keep. So, you know, you have tacos anytime you want. If you would like to give this a go and do your own tacos at home and ditch the packet, you can log on for the recipe at the Hayes Daily News' website, or you can check out all the details for how to throw a fabulous taco night at my website, somethingedible.com. And if you have questions on anything that I've done here, you can get on over to Facebook or Twitter and you can ask me all about it there. So until next time, I'm going to sit here and eat tacos. See ya.